8 reasons why college isn't so great. I could go on and on about college and tell you that there's an infinite amount of reasons as to why college is terrible, but I'm not going to go off on a tangent because of time's sake. So I'll just let you guys know my reasons, or at least a few of them. So, 8. Number 1, tuition is high as fuck. You know, back in the day, in the 1960s or before that, you were able to go to college, have your own dorm, own a car, and you were able to go out every other weekend with friends and go do stuff. You were able to afford all of these things with just a part-time job. That's right, you were able to afford all of these things, including tuition. You were able to pay your tuition on top of your car and going out with just a part-time job, and the dorm as well. Just a part-time job. I'd be lucky enough if my part-time job paid my damn car note. Average college tuition for 4-year universities is about $22,000. $22,000 for 4 years. It used to be around $9,000. And that's not including the books. That's not including the paper you have to print out for your essays if you're using the printers at your university, which isn't that much. What's like 25 cents or 10 cents per printout, but it still adds up. And that's not including room and board. It's also not including certain other fees that some universities have. So I'd say, as a rough estimate, college for 4 years cost at around double that, about $44,000. You know what? I'll even give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say $32,000 for 4 years, which is hilarious because you go to college to get a degree so that way you can get a job that makes you at least around $22,000 per year. Because $22,000 is about the average median household income of one person. So if you're just living on your own, like no parents, no children, no wives, girlfriends, nothing, you can support yourself with just $22,000 every year, assuming you're spending it correctly. So you go to college to make at least that amount of money, or even more, but you have to pay that same amount of money. Or actually, technically, you'd have to pay even more than that amount. Because, like I said, that $22,000 is not including room and board and books and all that other good shit. And best believe that you're going to be taking loans out. And you know, these loans, they don't tell you that you have to pay these back. Or at least they might tell you in high school, but they surely don't enforce it. You know, when you're in high school, they sell college as a dream, and they're like, it's your one-way ticket to being a part of the middle class, when it's just not. They don't highlight any of the bad things that go around with college at all. And the thing is about student loans is that once you graduate, or once you're out of school, after 6 months, you have to start paying those student loans back. 6 months to find your career. 6 months to find your career that can start paying those student loans back. So what if you don't find a job within that amount of time? Well, you'll have to sign some deferments and pause your student loans for a couple more months, so that way you have a little more time to go find your career. But the only problem with that is, even though you pause your student loans, your interest is still building up. So you'll end up having to pay even more. Number 2, you take unnecessary classes. Yep, that's right, unnecessary classes. So if you are a biology major, now this is just an example. I'm sure some colleges have this, some colleges don't. I mean, I'm sure all colleges have unnecessary classes, but you get the idea. I'm saying that just for this example, you have this guy, he's a biology major. Why the fuck does he have a requirement to finish a fine arts class? Why the hell does this person, this biology major, have to complete 2 courses of a foreign language class? Okay, let's do another example. A liberal arts major. Why the hell does a liberal arts major have to complete 2 courses of biology? Why do they have to complete extensive courses of math? Which, it's fine to have, some math classes for every major, but they don't just stop at like 2 math classes for liberal arts majors. They stop at maybe like 6. Whereas a math major, you would end up taking much more than that, which is reasonable, but a liberal arts major should not be taking half that amount. You should hardly be taking any of that amount. So yeah, unnecessary classes. These things waste your time. These aren't just simple classes. These are full classes. Classes that last for about an hour and 15 minutes. Hour and 30 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. The time isn't really relevant, but what I'm getting at is in high school, 6 classes would be, 3 major classes like your math, English, reading, or like 4 classes, math, English, reading, and science. And then the other 2 are electives that you don't really worry about too much. But here in college, you take 6 classes and all of them are major classes. Every single one of these has an essay due. Every single one of these has a project due. And these aren't small projects. These are huge projects. All of them have something due that is major. So a biology major has to complete a huge project in fine arts. A liberal arts major has to complete a huge project in biology. A math major has to complete a huge project in 2 foreign language classes. It makes no sense. Number 3, the method of learning. In my high school and a lot of other high schools, they tell us that once you get to college, whatever degree you're in, they're going to teach you exactly how to do these things. So if I'm a computer science major, they're going to show you exactly how to make an entire video game from scratch. No, they don't. You have to do that yourself. You have to teach yourself, because they do not learn by doing. They learn by memorizing and regurgitating. This is why, if you go to any traditional college, you will see that all of them are going to tell you, hey, here's the syllabus. I have my PowerPoint presentation in there, all the terms that you need to know, all the stuff I'm teaching, all of it is in the PowerPoint. I teach by the PowerPoint. I do not go to you and show you how it's done. I might demonstrate it on the board once, but that's it. And you wonder why these kids, once they get out of college, they can only work in places like restaurants, because they don't know anything by the time they get out. All they did was memorize whatever the hell they had to memorize from their study guides and syllabi and PowerPoints, just so they could pass on the final exam, so they can get that degree. Sure, maybe they might find their career, but because they don't know anything, they're gonna get fired real quick. Number 4, social justice warriors. A lot of these schools house a shit ton of SJWs, and SJWs are basically the adult versions of crybabies. They whine about anything, and sometimes, in rare cases, colleges start to cave in and decide to give in to the social justice demands. Take, for example, Mizzou. I'm not going to go into detail about that. You guys can just look that one up. Number 5, subliminal red flags. Now, what I mean by this is that there are some things in college that you will come across that'll make you question the authenticity of a college education. Here's an example. In one of my calculus classes, we tried to learn about extraneous equations. If you search up the term extraneous, you will notice that the second definition says that extraneous means irrelevant. Irrelevant equations. Equations that you will not use for life. Another example would be the amount of staff. If you take a minute to examine the amount of staff in a university, you will see that there are more people in admissions than there are teachers. In fact, you will see that if a school is upgrading, if a school is making improvements, they are not increasing the amount of teachers they have, but instead, they're increasing the amount of people in admissions. The people who handle your tuition, the people who handle your student loans. Number 6, college is meant to be full-time. To graduate at a 4-year university in 4 years, you will need to be taking 15 credit hours every semester. 15 credit hours translates to 6 classes a week. As I said before, this is not like high school. You don't have 4 major classes and the rest are electives. All of your classes are major classes. All of these classes have a project, an essay, and extensive homework. In most of these classes, you have 3 projects or 3 essays to do for the entire semester, add on with extensive homework every single day. What I'm getting at here is if you come from a low-income household, or if you wish to save up some money so you can jumpstart your career later, you will need to have a part-time job. Managing a part-time job with full-time college education is impossible. I've tried it. I packed all of my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I even had Monday and Wednesday to complete my work. I had a part-time job that allowed me to work on the weekends, so I had all of this time to take care of my schoolwork. But because of all the work that you have to take care of from all 6 of these major classes, they will take up every single one of your days and then some. You won't have a single day, you will not have a single hour to use to relax and rejuvenate from your long and stressful work week. So you come at a crossroads, and now you have to pick one. Work at your job or get this college education. And a lot of the times, people will choose their jobs. And the reason why is because when you go through college with no job, you have no money. If you don't have any money and you're staying in a dorm, you're going to have to afford that rent. If you're not staying in a dorm, but you're staying at your parents' house or something like that, you have no money to use on food for your lunch period. You know, your break in between classes. So by the time you get to your 4th class, you're just going to be starving. You're not going to be able to focus on your class with a starving stomach. And you can't even hang out with friends. The one thing that makes college enjoyable, hanging out with friends. The one thing that people say is the most memorable. You can't even do that. Number 7, college degrees are losing value. I said earlier that college graduates are becoming waiters and waitresses because they don't know any better by the time they get out. While this is true, there are some people that become waiters and waitresses simply because no one else will hire them. Why? Because since we are told to go to college over and over again, there is an oversaturation of college graduates. What's happening now and is going to continue to grow is that businesses are looking at applications and they're starting to say, oh, I see you have a college degree. Well, that's wonderful, but guess what? The 5,000 other applicants also have college degrees. So what makes you so special? And the answer is nothing. Nothing makes them special. Because during those 4 years, they weren't working. All they have is a degree on their resume. They have no work experience, which makes them less valuable. So in the near future, when everybody and their grandmother has a degree, jobs are no longer going to be looking for them. You will start to see them disappear out of the prerequisites. And number 8, the alternatives are reliable. Rather than going to college, you could go to trade school. You could become an entrepreneur and start your own business. And you could invest. All three of these things are reliable, and I'm going to explain how. Trade school or vocational school is very reliable for a couple of reasons. You can go into trade school and go straight into the material that you paid for. They also teach by doing. You will get hands-on training for the job that you are out to get. And to top it off, trade school is cheaper, way cheaper than a college education. And with trade school, you don't even need to spend 4 years in there. Most trade schools will have you out within a month, 2 months, 3 months, maybe 6 months. Who knows, maybe there's one out there that gets for a year, but it's certainly not 4 years. Certainly not 6 years. And on top of that, you don't get penalized for doing trade school part-time. Doing trade school part-time is in fact cheaper than doing trade school full-time. They give you lower rates at the cost of having more homework for part-time, which is reasonable. With all that money you saved and all the time you saved, you can get straight to your career and you can build yourself without having to spend all of those years and probably the rest of your life to pay off those same debts that you should already be earning every year. Now, with starting your own business, all you need is your business license in some states. Some states might require you to have more than just that, but you certainly don't need a business degree to start a business. There's countless business owners that do not have a business degree, and they make more money than the college graduates that they hire. And because it's their own business, they are their own boss. They get to pick and choose when to work, and they are in complete control of their lives. Now, with investing, what's reliable about that is that you can invest from a very young age. And the younger you are, the more valuable your investment money is. I remember seeing this video somewhere, and it showed a mom and her kid. Her mom taught her son to invest at a very young age. Every time he wanted to buy a new pair of shoes, she made him invest. He started investing in these shoe companies. He started investing in more than just the shoe companies. As a result, by age 14, he was worth $50,000. And he had every pair of shoes that he could have possibly wanted. And on top of that, he has all of that investment money. If he continues to do this and continues to invest the right way, he can begin to have passive money every year, and he will be set for life. So yeah, those were 8 reasons why college isn't so great. I could name a million more reasons why college isn't so great, but I'm pretty sure 8 is plenty to convince you guys not to go to college. If you ask me, the only reason you should go to college is if you're in the medical field where you have to have a degree. And even then, I think you need a good-ass scholarship to take care of those debts. Because if you're just going with your student loans, maybe that grant, that's not enough. They say it's the journey, not the destination. But with college, the journey sucks too.